Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second season of Conspiracy. This is the first episode of the second season. I'm Roger Hanson. I'd like to welcome everybody here. Today's topic is going to be, actually, it's perfect considering what's happened, the current events that's taken place here recently with Donald Trump releasing 18,000, I believe, files of the JFK assassination. I've actually done some research on this, so I do have information that I did pull together, and I wanted to go ahead and do it. I did that before any of this. This goes back a few years. Some of it was a little bit foggy in my head because I haven't really gotten back to the topic for a few years now, but I was able to pull together most of the stuff that I thought was important when it comes to this. Now, before I get going, I do want to mention too that when it comes to a lot of the information that was released, you got to understand that this is it's most definitely not going to be anything that's really life changing. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the smoking gun or anything. They're just going to give you information that was gathered by the Warren report and things of that nature and what was actually taking place. There was some things that were discovered with these reports being released, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to find anything that's groundbreaking from it. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and discuss some of the things that I personally felt was pertinent to the assassination of JFK that wasn't necessarily mentioned in the Warren report or any investigations that were done, things that were overlooked that I felt could have been looked at, but was, in my opinion, purposely overlooked and not investigated. So that's going to be basically some of the stuff that I'm going to cover. I hope you guys enjoy it. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and get started with the topic. So here it goes. Now, the assassination of President JFK, or John F. Kennedy, was on November the 22nd, 1963. And it remains one of the most pivotal moments in American history. Over the years, various theories about the circumstances surrounding Kennedy's death have persisted, despite the official conclusion of the Warren Commission, which stated that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination. The Warren Commission report, released in 1964, was intended to provide closure for the tragic event, but it has continuously been criticized for a variety of reasons. Some believe that the CIA and FBI or other governmental or non-governmental actors may have been involved in a broader conspiracy to kill Kennedy. The release of new documents in the JFK assassination records records collection, particularly in recent years, has sparked renewed interest in the case. These files, some of which have been kept secret for decades, provide new details that were not included in the Warren Commission report. The revelations range from unexplained CIA and FBI activities to previously undisclosed witness testimonies and new insights into Kennedy's dealings with foreign powers. The JFK assassination records collection was established by Congress in 1992 with the passage of the JFK Records Act. The act called for the release of documents related to Kennedy's assassination with the goal of providing transparency and resolving lingering questions. While the CIA, FBI, and other government agencies have long withheld sensitive information, the law set deadlines for declassifying files with a final deadline of 2017. Despite the deadlines, there were several significant delays, with many documents still being held back from public release. However, in recent years, particularly under the Trump administration, the National Archives began to release thousands of additional pages. The new information contained in these files have been subject to intense scrutiny and debate among historians, researchers, and conspiracy theorists alike. Some of the new information challenges the conclusion of the Warren Commission, while other revelations provide new context or insight into the environment surrounding the assassination. The following sections examine some of the most significant pieces of new information. One of the most significant revelations from the newly declassified files pertains to Lee Harvey Oswald's possible ties to CIA operations, which were not fully explored by the Warren Commission. While Oswald's actions leading to the assassination have been extensively investigated, the idea that he may have had connections to intelligence agencies, specifically the CIA, was largely overlooked in the official report. Several of the newly released documents suggest that Oswald may have had connections to U.S. intelligence agencies even before the assassination. In particular, reports hint that Oswald might have been recruited by the CIA during his time in New Orleans in 1963, as well as during his time in Mexico City the year before. These revelations challenge the Warren Commission's assertion that Oswald was a lone gunman without connection to broader political or intelligence networks. In one of the newly declassified memos, there are mentions of CIA surveillance of Oswald and concerns about his involvement with a network of anti-Castro Cuban exiles. These documents show that Oswald was under watch by intelligence agencies at a time when the U.S. government was heavily involved in covert operations aimed at undermining Fidel Castro's regime in Cuba. The Warren Commission did not delve deeply into the possibility that Oswald may have been a pawn or a CIA operative in a broader intelligence operation. One of the most important aspects of the newly declassified files is their reference to Oswald's trip to Mexico City in the fall of 1963, shortly before the assassination. These files indicate that Oswald may have had meetings with Soviet officials and Cuban diplomats, but they also raise questions about whether he was acting as part of a covert operation designed to involve him in a larger political struggle against Cuba and Soviet influence. The Warren Commission acknowledged Oswald's trip to Mexico City, but failed to fully investigate the possibility that Oswald was a CIA asset or that he had been part of a greater operation aimed aimed at either targeting Castro or manipulating the international perception of the Cuban government. New evidence points to the idea that Oswald may have been manipulated by both the CIA and FBI to foster international tensions and create a justification for military intervention in Cuba. The newly released documents also shed light on the role that the FBI played the newly released documents also shed light on the role that the FBI played in the investigation into Oswald's background and his associations. The FBI was deeply involved in monitoring Oswald before and after the assassination, yet key details about his activities were either overlooked or deliberately obscured. One of the significant revelations in the declassified files is the FBI's monitoring of anti-Castro Cuban groups in New Orleans and Dallas, which were potentially linked to Oswald. These groups were part of a broader anti-communist movement in the U.S., which included CIA-backed operations aimed at destabilizing Castro's Cuba. While the Warren Commission reported Oswald's limited interactions with these groups, the new documents suggest that he was far more involved than possibly understood. These connections imply that Oswald's alleged lone wolf status may have been an oversimplification of his involvement in a larger web of political and intelligence activities. Some researchers believe that Oswald's interactions with these anti-Castro groups could have been part of a covert operation that involved creating political chaos in Cuba, something the CIA had been actively pursuing at the time. The newly released documents also raised the possibility that the CIA had a more significant role in the events leading up to Kennedy's assassination than previously believed. The CIA's role in Cuba and its involvement in the Bay of Pigs invasion, as well as its covert operations targeting Castro, have long been known. But the new files indicate that the CIA may have had knowledge of Oswald's activities far earlier than was disclosed. Some documents suggest that the CIA may have withheld information or manipulated evidence that could have pointed to a conspiracy surrounding the assassination. There are claims that the CIA was involved in obstructing investigations that might have uncovered links between Oswald and other intelligence operations or operatives. The files reveal that certain aspects of Oswald's life and activities were scrubbed or obfuscated, particularly regarding his connections to anti-Castro factions and possible